Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we started off Trial of a Time Lord with the first 4 parts, which were retroactively named The Mysterious Planet. What happened on that one?
Well, I remember the Doctor was put on trial.
Yes.
But I don't remember much about the Mysterious Planet.
Well, basically, it was I guess, Exhibit A in the Valeyard's case against the Doctor, where the Doctor and Perry went to what they thought was just a planet that was very similar to Earth, ended up just being Earth in the future, where most of humanity is gone, and it's also in a different place than it should be. That was kind of just a thing they said, and they didn't really harp on that, which, I don't know, it feels kind of important. The Earth is in the wrong place, hundreds of thousands of years in the future. I don't know. But anyway, there was a whole thing of the Immortal, which was a robot that was basically carrying out its functions as a computer does. But the problem was that was eventually going to destroy I guess just the world, what was left of it. And there were the people that were down below that were very sheltered and didn't know pretty much anything. And then there were people above the surface that were technically also sheltered. They just didn't know much about anything either. And then there were the, I guess, bandits that wanted to steal the secrets. And Perry and the Doctor were involved in that.
That doesn't even sound vaguely familiar to me.
I may have just described 40 different episodes of Doctor Who. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It was, it was like that. And there was the giant robot with like the giant like wrench.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason that this was brought up in evidence was because it's supposed to be evidence of the Doctor interfering for the worse, which is the Valeyard's case. That it's because the Doctor went to this planet that all these events happened and many people died. And now the Doctor is arguing that it was going to happen anyway, and he tried to help as best he could. So, honestly, I guess the specifics of the episode are not that important. It's really just, the case, the trial, and the evidence that the Valeyard presents. So, we're on to parts 5 through 8. When was the last time we had more than 4 parts in one story? It's been quite a while, but yeah, we're on parts 5 through 8. I don't know how many more lawyer jokes I have in the editing and in the descriptions, but I will try. I'm already scraping the bottom of the barrel of my legal jokes. I've done Better Call Saul jokes. I've done Phoenix Wright jokes. I think was the "if it doesn't fit, you must acquit." That's OJ, right?
Yeah.
I've done an OJ joke. I'm running out of lawyer jokes.
Okay. The 2 most common lawyer jokes is, what do you call 5,000 lawyers at the bottom of the sea?
Not
good
enough.
Start.
Yeah, I was about to say not enough.
And why won't sharks bite lawyers? Professional courtesy.
Yeah. So, it's a fascinating thing, and this is a complete tangent. I'll just go ahead and warn everyone of that. But it's an interesting thing because that is the general perception of lawyers. I find it fun watching something like Better Call Saul, where it's like, on the one hand, it is true because Saul Goodman himself as a lawyer is exactly that. Even if he does the best for his client. It's just that literally everyone else in that show must suffer for it. But then you get, the good lawyers, like, Howard Hamlin or Kim Wexler for a while, or Chuck to a degree. And it's like, oh, but these are good lawyers. So it's just an interesting thing, like, in that show of seeing the different perspectives.
The old axiom, I believe, is everybody hates lawyers until they need one.
Yeah, so and because of this and the fact that we just finished watching Better Call Saul last night. It's just on my brain. So
and this goes all the way back to Shakespeare, one of his plays. I can't remember which one. But there's this uprising, and one of the characters says, "First thing we do, we'll kill all the lawyers."
Man, even Shakespeare didn't like him. Jeez, you never see like a. I feel like that would be like a comedy movie of like it's a legal battle during the time of Shakespeare or something, or if you went back like, I don't know, if you went back to like ancient Rome, and it's like it's that, but it's just a legal drama. Like, how does that shape out? Although I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but in Rome they didn't really have like it was more just a self-defense. Was it, or was it not? They might have had lawyers.
They did have. I can't remember what they were called. It was very similar to a locutus of Borg, because that's the Latin. They had an interlocutor. I don't know, somebody who interrogator, somebody who questioned, somebody who defended. It was usually something that the patricians did, the upper classes. I don't know if it extended to the plebeians, but they did have a system of laws, the 12 tables. And by the time you get up into the medieval times, King Henry II, I think he was one of the first to try the trial by jury. Before that, it was trial by combat. And so it was, if you were the stronger person, you won, even if you were wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, I imagine the Valeyard doesn't want to do that, because the Doctor does have... he even says he has a predisposition towards violence, so... granted, it's been slowly diminishing since his third form, and by this point, who knows how much this form has left in terms of fighting spirit, but at the very least, his fighting spirit extends to his mouth, because he will make sure that he will call every objection that he can in this trial. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much that. So I guess we'll get started, and then we'll figure out more lawyer jokes that I can use in this. There may or may not be more Phoenix Wright jokes and Better Call Saul jokes. I don't know. I'm very limited. The only other thing, like, because all other lawyer shows that I know are only from watching legal videos where he reacts to them and just tears them apart for how inaccurate they are. And I think like one of the biggest one was like Daredevil, where I think he watched like the trial of the Punisher from the second season. He just completely tore it apart, and it's just like, Matt Murdock is a terrible lawyer, and he actually like got someone who knew the comics, because he's like, he shouldn't be that bad of a lawyer, but in the show he is. It's unfortunate. That's like the most interesting part of the Daredevil show was all the Punisher stuff. Yeah. But anyway, before I piss off all the Daredevil fans, we should probably just get to work. So, and I didn't look up, because all of these, technically it's 14 parts, but split up vaguely into split up into 4 stories. So this one is technically Mindwarp, and all of these titles were given very retroactively years later. So
okay,
yeah. So anyway, let's get going.
And Doctor, the prosecuting counsel's title is the Valeyard, not the Brickyard, Backyard, Knacker's Yard, or any other kind of yard. Again, do I make myself clear?
Piercingly and irrefutably so, madam.
Proceed.
As I was saying, we have just witnessed a sequence in the Doctor's history which illustrated perfectly his almost gleeful pleasure in interfering in the development of alien life forms.
I object!
Sit down and shut up.
She's already done.
Yes.
Are you really offering this inconsequential silliness as evidence?
The Doctor has a point. Surely we could join this segment at a more relevant place.
My apologies for wasting the court's time, Sagacity.
But this is how every episode starts.
More advanced than I thought. Seems it can liquefy as well as stun.
It deflates rocks.
Sure that thing was made evil?
Harry, a warlord of Thornton wouldn't use his dying words to lie to us. Remember what he said? Thoros Beta, Send more beams that kill.
That said, if I die, I want to send someone on a wild goose chase. Oh, go to cave. We don't have to do that weird coloring effect all the time.
Surprised?
Jeez, this thing is crazy.
Another death, Doctor.
Pretty sure that was one of the aliens that Ben 10 has in the Omnitrix.
Looks like Brian Blessed in Flash Gordon.
Ironic.
The Hawkman.
Let us pacify the brain of this barbarian.
Oh, this will be a fun place to be.
What is he?
Looks like a man, acts like a wolf. Lycanthropy.
Wait, I've seen this before in 20 other episodes.
Good boy. Nice dog.
Throw him the bone.
Sea monsters upgraded to operate machinery. And wolfmen who beg for help.
Let's find out.
Oh, wait a minute.
Not yet.
So we had H.G. Wells before, right? Mm-hmm. Humans combined with animals. That's the island of Dr. Moreau. But I can't remember who wrote it. I don't think H.G. Wells wrote that, but he might have.
Oh. It's an entire species of him.
Thoros Peters still his own planet, didn't you know?
Only because you didn't tell me, Doctor.
Didn't I?
You know I'd never want to come within light years of that creep again. Last time he tried to turn me into a bird woman.
How could I forget? It cost me a fortune in birdseed.
Oh, well. I mean it.
Come on, mustn't lose track of your friend Syl.
Poor Perry.
Already the unfortunate Perry has survived a struggle with the Rock, escaped from the guards. And who, Doctor, was sent to examine the Wolfman?
What?
Who went into danger first?
Well, she just happened to be the nearest.
Your assistant, as usual. Sagacity, I have calculated on a random matrix sample that the Doctor's companions have been placed in danger twice as often as the Doctor.
Well, there have been many companions.
Half the time it's their fault. I hope he brings up all the people that creep on Perry, too.
This Thornton world. The Klontek warriors have succeeded in subduing the massed hordes of the Tongkomp Empire. We must negotiate with the Klontek king. Usual contracts, development loans, some limited scientific advance.
So they're just the Ferengi now.
Position regarding King Urkanos.
I think that is the word.
It's like a Porky Pig laugh. Is that just a chest burster?
You're revoltingly ugly, sister. Age has not improved you since Varoff.
And from you, that's a compliment.
That's actually a relief, considering the last 10 episodes.
Why can you use the helmet to extract the truth of what happened?
I've never tried. It could be fatal used as a means of interrogation.
The Doctor went mind donating his sanity to the advancement of science. Will you, Doctor?
Alrighty. That's part 51.
5-1.
So far, in, I guess what we'll call Exhibit B, which is what these should have just been named all along, but in Exhibit B, so far what we have is the danger that the companions find themselves in, and that I find it hilarious that they are put in danger twice as often as the Doctor. It should be noted half of that is because they wander off. So, I don't know. It's like, it's an interesting idea of, like, you could, like, take this to kind of deconstruct the tropes and the overused plot lines of Doctor Who. But, we kind of either justify it or just make light of it, have some fun, So it's an interesting idea still with the Valyard. I'm just curious as to where he's going with all of this. So,
Yeah.
The problem is it's taking an entire month for us to get to his point. So, and for the people that watched this originally, it took longer.
Right. So, what season is this now?
This is 23.
23. All right. For 23 years, the set designers, decorators, builders from classic Doctor Who have been tasked with building caves.
Yes.
How many times have we seen... I mean, seriously, it must be 2 or 3, not just episodes, but 2 or 3 stories within each Doctor. So we're looking at probably 100 at least different kinds of caves that they've had to build.
I mean, I think the bigger question is, how many episodes don't feature caves? I'm not sure, actually. I can't remember the last time that didn't have caves. Because, let's see, so I guess last episode, nope, there were, I guess technically that was a subway station. It was basically a cave. It was overgrown at that point. Let's see, before that was Revelation of the Daleks. Caves in that one. Before that, this requires me to remember last season. Before that, I can't think backwards. I don't remember what, but there were so many, up to the point that one of them is just blatantly called The Caves of Androzani. Great episode, but still.
But I remember way back when we started, back in season 1, we were talking about how often they used caves in that one, and one of them was because there was this big long sequence of them simply trucking through the caves, which, I mean, was filler, but,
yeah,
jumping across the chasm or swinging across, and we were like, seriously, how many times are they going to be using caves? And that was back with Hartnell.
Yeah.
So
that was back when they had caves, but they didn't have a lot of caves. So they just kind of kept refilming walking through the same caves to give the illusion that it was a bigger cave. So, I don't know. So, honestly, I hope that the set designers got a job on a show that exclusively takes place in caves after Doctor Who was canned. So, because they are the most, well-trained cave set makers in all of Britain.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still curious as to what, especially with this, while it seems like, we're kind of going with the theme of the companions in danger on this one, I'm curious if there's going to be another theme to Exhibit B, or if it's just that. So, I don't know. I guess maybe one of the, I don't even know if this is an issue, really, but it's just it's hard to really comment on the stories being told, because, I mean, we know that the Doctor gets out of it because he's, on top of the fact that we just know the show goes on, but it's it's suspending, all of that, but also just the fact that the real, mystery and, the plot that's being driven forward is the trial and what the Valyard's intentions are. Even though he's laid them out that he wants to just, kill the Doctor, where are we going with all of this? So it's kind of like you almost got to switch your brain around of well, we got to do, you have to switch your brain to this story, what's going on with Syl and this, whatever tech that is being created and stuff, and then on the other side, what's going on with the Valyard.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, part 6-2.
And although they never said what the rock was, he appeared to be some kind of seafood, some kind of crustacean.
Yeah.
So you got a man and a fish, you got a man and a wolf, or a man and a dog, and then the whoever the warlord was that they're trying to pacify, he wasn't turned into anything yet. But we did talk about they did mention the fact that Syl tried to turn Perry into a bird. Yeah,
so that's, which then it makes sense, why they did just find a wolf man there. So he was not saved from the process like Perry was in Vengeance on Varos. So I'm hoping this story is as good as Vengeance on Varos, because that was such a surprise rewatching that and being oh, I get what they're trying to go for now. I understand, and if anything, it's only just gotten more topical as the years have gone on.
Yeah.
So... It's like someone was doing a recording, and they recorded each individual instrument as if, and they were going to put it all together as if they were an entire band, and then they just kind of got tired halfway through and just put, what they had recorded together.
We must find some weapons, some of those that turn one's enemies to slime.
Yeah, this guy's having
We
fun.
must kill all who stand between us and victory. We will grind every last slug beneath our feet. Yes.
How many R's are in grind?
Get out of here!
We must raise an army and attack and destroy the mentors, yes?
Yes, sure, anything you say.
Come on. Your mind will soon clear. We'll pile the heads of our enemies before us like melons in a heap.
Is sounding more and more like Brian Blessed. We should probably look at the credits.
Your name and title?
Purple Gilliam of the Brown.
The Brown.
That is Brian Blessed. It has to be.
Arth. Oh, you'd like it there. Lots of madmen playing as warriors and actors playing over the top in politics.
Politics?
Yakety yak. Talk.
Ah!
Meh.
You mean War Council?
Know or want to know.
I would like to meet the mighty warriors of Earth.
Yeah, well, you get on pretty well, you can't.
You are promised to such a one? Him?
Certainly not.
Eh.
That is good.
Well, I must help the doctor. Come on, Doc. Wait.
Meh.
I don't remember that.
You know what? It's honestly not the worst person who's tried to hit on her.
They have weapons. Weapons. Queer fires that we must obtain quietly.
That includes me, huh?
On my planet of Krontep, a warrior queen fights alongside her king.
We're not on your planet.
It doesn't matter, the rule still applies.
That's such a unprofitless fool!
I think you're right. I think the Star Trek Next Generation did borrow the concept of these guys, the mentors for the Ferengi.
Doctor!
Shut it down!
Good job. I miss Jamie.
No! That is not me!
Oh, yes, it is. You were overcome by terror, Doctor. You had interfered yet again, and this time your one aim was to escape unscathed. You only. Your friends didn't matter.
He was clearly altered by machinery.
Time cannot lie.
As a rule, intruders never get this far. Although I shall put your suggestion to the great Q.
You do that. And while you're about it, pass this on as well.
Oh, good job.
You wish to serve me, Perry?
Well, what have I got to lose, huh?
You must call me Matrona.
Trona.
Come, let us prepare you.
Good job.
That's very similar to what they did to Dale Arden in the Flash Gordon movie.
We've lost.
Just like in the old days, there's nothing more enjoyable than watching people suffer.
I see Sills from Twitter.
I wonder.
May we continue? I do grow tired of these constant interruptions.
But it was never like that.
Enough, Doctor. The Matrix does not lie, cannot lie. You are aware of that fact, so why persist in these silly statements?
I feel like the Matrix has lied before.
That's another Star Trek story, original series. The computer showed Captain Kirk jettisoning something with one of his crewmen in it, but the crewman was a technical guy who knew how to alter it.
I used to think that you were different. That you cared for justice, truth, and good.
The American way.
Better than what you are now.
Now, Doctor, it is your turn to die.
Alright, let's see.
It's him. It can't be anyone else.
Yep. There you go. It's the crossover you never expected.
All right, so we've got the Island of Dr. Moreau. We've got several Star Trek stories and Flash Gordon.
Yes.
And we're only 2 episodes in.
Yes, this is an interesting one. A bit more lively than the last story was, I would say. And the last story was, fine with the mysterious planet and everything, but this one is just kind of all over the place, so... but interesting. And so now we have more... I guess we know more concretely what Exhibit B is, which is the Doctor being an irrational, immature turncoat. So... And... See, it's an interesting thing, because I'm curious if the Valyard actually has, ulterior motives. I don't know how you get more ulterior than kill the guy, but could he be, is he 100%, truthful, he's factual, he's trying to do this, for justice, for security of Gallifrey and Time Lord society, that he must take down the Doctor, or... is this some sort of nefarious plot against the Doctor that either the Valyard is a part of or he doesn't realize he's a part of? So, I don't know. But it's definitely an interesting thing. So, and then just adding on Flash Gordon is just fun. So,
It wasn't always like that.
Trash! I suggest you always were just like that, my dear Doctor. A toady, a coward, a turncoat. You were afraid the Crozier wanted to transplant the brain of the...
If he was a turncoat, he wouldn't have that coat.
You said as much yourself.
Nevertheless, I would like this trial to continue.
I was also about to suggest that you might change your mind and consider availing yourself of a court defender. A trained legal mind would offer a more constructive and certainly less emotional presentation of your case.
If the Time Lords of Gallifrey want my life, you don't think I'd entrust my defense to one of their august number, do you?
Very well.
That's a fair point.
We must go, locate our allies, and then prepare to battle unto death!
One thing at a time, huh? Let's find this Alpine resistance and convince them we're on their side. And then, onto our destiny. Huh?
You're right.
This is the weirdest subplot in Doctor Who history.
Cup of tea.
Something's wrong.
What? He was fine a moment ago. Cardiac arrest. His body's reacting to the drugs.
But have another sip of tea.
Will not die on me.
Let's not get carried away.
I have seen him inspire disheartened rabble into acts of heroism.
How many of them survived, huh?
Yeah, it's a minor consideration, and there is glory to be had.
Attention for credit. Marshmallow, Doctor.
Gah. Slimy yet satisfying.
Probably Jello.
Yeah.
My
What a terrible thing to wake up to.
I mean a great warrior whose advice I trust and value. Oh, very well. Today, prudence shall be our watchword. Tomorrow, I shall soak the land in blood. Come with me!
No, I won't believe it. Still continue to ignore the truth.
I am not responsible for that.
In your mind, perhaps not. But in reality, It is somewhat different, Doctor.
Hang on, let's see who Crozier is. Don't like the new Sting either.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Reichard. Now, he looks very familiar. He looks like, well, somebody who had been on Star Trek.
He has eyes that have been dead for 100 years, definitely. I'm sure that's just how he's playing the character, but... So, there must be another wrinkle in this. But the question still remains, is the Valyard aware of this? If the Matrix is lying, is the Valyard, I guess, a malicious force among the Time Lords? Or is he trying to legitimately do his job? And, this is the evidence that he has, takes it, granted at face value, but is that it? Is he an enemy or not? Is he going to take off his face and he's the master the whole time?
That thought had occurred to me earlier.
Yeah.
But, again, at this point, he does seem to be presenting the evidence as he sees it.
Yeah, so... because that would be an interesting... I think that would kind of be a bit more interesting if the Valyard is like, nope, he's true and, good relatively. He's trying to seek justice according to Time Lord laws. It's just that something is playing with him in order to destroy the Doctor.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a bit more interesting than the Valyard's just making stuff up because he's evil. So,
Is Harry dead?
No.
Then what was the point of showing that last sequence?
Simply as further evidence of the Doctor's interference.
I thought it was somewhat gratuitous.
And highly prejudicial. You won't convict me by using shock tactics.
I require nothing so crude, my dear Doctor. All that will prove necessary is the truth.
Notice how his eyebrows never move?
Well, I prefer it if you use somebody else.
You have strong feelings for the woman.
Well, certainly enough not to want to see her experimented upon.
I understand. I'm not without pity. Go to the induction center. You know precisely the problem I have here, Doctor. If you can find a candidate more suitable, I shall use them. But, Doctor, hurry. You haven't much time.
I will.
You might be mistaking her hair for the size of her head. But that's not how it works. His head's probably bigger.
I must attend this meeting, otherwise we could all finish up poor. Now what is more important, my well-being or your wealth?
A trick question, actually.
Yeah.
But if you feel...
But you are my sworn enemy. I have vowed to kill you.
Yes, well, we can deal with all that later. At the moment, we need each other.
He has a point. Everyone has a point nowadays. I cannot read.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
First, I'd envisioned a more noble cause at which to fight.
Well, think of the chaos if you remove their mind control. And you'd have a very willing army to fight the Mentors.
He's right, you know.
Be silent! I am King Incarnate of the Concept. I'm quite capable of making my own decisions.
Then please, hurry!
VAROONIK! He'll release the slaves, and then on to death!
Glad we came to that decision.
Shave her head. I've decided to attempt direct transference.
No, her hair. No, Dorf.
Dorf is dead.
No, Dorf.
I'm sorry.
No. He died fighting. It was an honorable way.
All is ready.
Just wait for Kiv to complete.
I think I saw a very obvious, bald cap mark, but...
You will be successful.
Okay. Oh, and that's when he was stolen.
Whatever made you take me out of time when you did? I remember it all. I was on my way to save Perry.
Things had gone too far. You had released chaos, and allowed your companion to take part in an experiment that would affect all future life in the universe.
Yes, but we were going to stop this part.
Warm blood inside. Oh, I like this. Now
Ilea
I
from Star Trek The Motion
alive
Picture.
Yeah.
Within this.
But Perry died, Doctor, because you abandoned her. We had to end her life because your negligence had made it impossible for her to live.
Lies. There's something else going on here. The High Council has no right to order Perry's or anyone else's death.
Please, Doctor.
I was taken out of time for another reason, and I have every intention of finding out what it is.
All right. Well, she's dead.
But probably not.
I certainly hope not.
Although she's only got 6 more episodes before she... Does she survive into the 7th Doctor?
No. I'm pretty positive we're supposed to get a new companion soon, so I don't know. That might have been it for Perry, as far as we know. But
well, that is definitely the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers.
Yeah. So I guess it's still the question. Is the Valyard specifically malicious, or is he just doing his job? So, I guess that'll be our question going into the next the next half of the story, basically. So, interesting. A little all over the place, this one, with ending on such a dour note as the High Council had to murder Perry. Also a little goofy in places. Namely, the Flash Gordon character running around waiting to enter Valhalla. I don't know.
And seriously, that is almost identical to the role that he played in Flash Gordon.
Yeah, so a bit strange. But at this point, so is this era, honestly. It's just, especially with the 6th Doctor, it's a bit strange, a bit darker than you're used to, but oh boy.
Now, you had Kiv, you had Syl. Did we see the 3rd one at any point before they found him there in the relaxation chamber or whatever that was?
No.
Okay. Because I was thinking, wait a minute, is that Kiv's old body? But no, he couldn't be because they said it was dead when he was transferred into the mud-covered one. So it's like toss in a new wormy character there at the end,
he was just like I don't know, he was just on like surveillance duty or something for them. But he was certainly not part of the upper management, I guess, of this economic party. So,
now, considering that this came out in 86 and Next Generation didn't come out until 89, it now, instead of us saying, this is the Ferengi, this is probably the model for the Ferengi. It's, if Gene Roddenberry or any of the people from Next Gen were watching this, they would essentially have that germ planted in their head of a species that is very much centered around commerce.
Yeah, so, which is interesting because, I mean, they're kind of like that. Like, Syl was kind of like that with Varos, but it's the fact that there are more of them, and they are so, business oriented, and they're doing these conferences and trying to get these trade deals and stuff like that. Whereas in the first one, it was really just Syl, and he was just trying to. It was the deal was more on the governor of Varos than anything else. So, so it's an interesting. It's an interesting thing, and bringing back Syl as a villain as well, which I guess that's the last time we'll see Syl now that he's exploded and vaporized by Yrkanos. So,
but it strikes me that what we're going to see over the next 6 episodes is somehow the Doctor getting back to before that moment.
Yeah.
To prevent that from happening.
Yeah. The only thing with that is technically that would then violate the first law of time travel, which is going back on your own personal timeline. But at the same time, the Time Lords have technically done that. I mean, you want to talk about, the Doctor meddling. The Time Lords have now specifically done that. That they have meddled in. Because, there's no reason to think that given a bit more time, Crozier wouldn't have figured out how to successfully transplant the brain, Yeah. It's like, I guess the only thing is, in the original timeline, Crozier doesn't figure it out in time, and so Kiv dies, and thus his guards liquefy him and Syl and all the others, so that wouldn't continue. But because the Doctor was there, that did end up happening. So I guess, I don't know. See, it's a strange thing. You have to also think about, I suppose the mindset of the High Council, which is a difficult thing with the Time Lords, but why is it that the Time Lords look at this and they're like, okay, we have to step in, we have to break what we normally do, we have to interfere because of Crozier's discovery, when the Daleks exist and the Cybermen exist, and they do the same thing, if not a million times worse. I guess you could argue that maybe the Time Lords just can't stand against the Daleks, at least not easily. Crozier is at least one man, and the Daleks are an entire species, but, I don't know. It's an odd thing, and especially, too, I was actually thinking, this sort of, framing device of the trial, honestly, I feel like that could work as a sort of, anniversary season of, hey, we're going to go through and we're going to have a new story from every single Doctor, basically, and it's going to be framed around the most, the current Doctor watching this, and it's all examples, because it does seem to be, obviously, because it's it's the 6th Doctor, because that's the one we have, that it's this is just stuff that happened just now, just recently, up to the moment that the Doctor is taken to this courtroom, and it's so I don't know, it's interesting that it's only now that the Doctor has apparently stepped too far out of line for the High Council and is thus sending the Valyard to try him, basically. So I guess part of it too is because they say he has been put on trial before and exiled to Earth, so I guess it's just that it does have to be the most recent stuff, and obviously just from a production standpoint, all they have basically is Colin Baker. So I don't know, but it's an interesting thing, and I'm again now that we have this idea of could the Matrix be lying? What is really going on here? Why is the High Council doing this and everything? It's an interesting thing now, going at the pretty much the halfway point of what is, there's something more happening here, and what is it, and how far into it is the Valyard actually. Yeah. So yeah. As for the other stuff, the whole thing of the Doctor being a turncoat, he was right. That was a ploy. So that's at least one thing he can argue on. But I guess if the main thing is arguing of abandoning Perry, basically.
It struck me when she was, chained to the rock waiting for the tide to come in, which is straight out of Clash of the Titans, that he said this is a ploy, but then he reverted back, and then he didn't really break out of the whole thing until he ate the gooey, slimy stuff.
Yeah. I suppose it is possible that... I mean, even then, that's still a defense for him. That it's like, well, perhaps I was wrong, but the evidence given by the Matrix that you, the Valyard, claim does not lie, says that I was clearly chemically altered to be a turncoat, and I was snapped out of it. So either way, it is still a good defense for him.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because as much as, we make all the lawyer jokes and everything about this trial, it's not the most, consistent of a trial, because it really is just a framing device of these various stories. But at the same time, the doctor says, well, he doesn't want a public defender from Gallifrey because they would just be basically in the pocket of the High Council, which is trying him anyway with the Valyard. I have just had the thought, though, of okay, who would be the only person he could trust to go against the High Council in this court in order to defend him? And the only thing that came into my mind is the Master, and how interesting that would be if he actually used the Master as his public defense, basically. Because that it's impossible for the Master to be, under the influence of the High Council. He would never allow that. The only question is, why would the Master defend him at that point?
As you were saying that, the reason the Master would defend him is because the Master does not want the High Council or anyone else to defeat the Doctor. It is his sole purpose in his existence that he defeats the Doctor.
And if anything, if the High Council looks at this and decides to execute the Doctor and destroy not only him but all of his future regenerations, that puts a very big target on the Master's back because he's so much worse, Yeah. So, if anything, it would be in the Master's best interest to defend him. I don't know if they're going to do that, but that would be really interesting because, while we have, Exhibit A, I guess, being the mysterious planet, Exhibit B being this story, Mindwarp, we haven't really had the Doctor's, defense, basically. So he's just been sort of objecting to the evidence being put forth by the Valyard. And I mean, with all of this, it's because they're relying on the Matrix specifically, there's no witnesses, there's no cross-examination, there's hardly a jury. There's, they're there, but it really just seems to be, the Inquisitor. But I don't know. It's we need now for the Doctor to start getting ahead of this and start, swinging it back his way, which sounds at least like he's going to do because of the potential death of Perry. So yeah, I don't know, but it's an interesting, it's a very interesting idea for a season. And people were saying that there was essentially what amounted to a hiatus between seasons, because originally the show was canned after the last season, and when so many people complained about it, they brought it back. So I do like this idea that they did spend that time being okay, what do we want to do next? Because the last season, overall, good, some hits, couple misses, but it's okay, so what do we want to do with the Sixth Doctor? And it's an interesting idea, definitely. Yeah. It's almost kind of a shame that he doesn't go on for another season. Because, he's, honestly, he's still good. He still has it. He's always maybe not always, but, he has his version of the character figured out. It's all just on, the writing to, help him, basically. Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, an interesting story, a good return of Syl, although he somehow got more annoying as he had to grovel to Kiv. So, and having Yrcanos and Dorf, I mean, that's just fun. As ridiculous as it is, it's just a fun thing to have in there. So, But I guess this leads us with the question still, what are the Valyard's true intentions, and is Perry even remotely still alive, or did they just kill her off and that's just going to be that?
It turns out she's only mostly dead.
Yeah, I don't know. So, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, then the next episode, assuming I still have it loaded up here, the next episode is called Terror of the Vervoids.
Sure it is.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out on the next 4 parts of Trial of a Time Lord. But that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check that out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.